Hey, my name is Katie Pijanowski, and I'm a certified life coach and motivational speaker, and I'm here to help you unlock your true strength so you can create the life of your dreams. I teach you my best tips to master your mindset, create confidence, and empower yourself to take back your life. It's your time. This is the Mind and Body Strong podcast. Welcome back, my friends, and this is the fourth episode of the Money Mindset March series that I'm doing, and I'm super excited to bring you today's content to really round out our experience. So far we've talked about plugging money drains, we've talked about clearing the way for cash flow, we've talked about transforming your financial legacy, and today I thought it was important to talk about manifestation and money. Because manifestation is something that I feel like a lot more people are aware of now. Maybe you've heard of the law of attraction. And I wanted to go over where many of us can get lost about the law of attraction and how we can open ourselves up to manifesting the type of financial dreams and reality that we truly want. So if you're familiar with the law of attraction, I actually remember watching The Secret, which is where I learned about the law of attraction, that Netflix show. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, and if you haven't, definitely check it out still. But one of the things that my dad and I were actually talking about once, he asked me, so how do you feel about the law of attraction? And I was like, well, I get how they're framing it, because The Secret basically says anything you want, if you think about it all the time, you can have it. And at some extent, that is true. But where The Secret fails to bring it home is that you also need to be in the feeling, and you also need to not be in this scarcity mindset. So for example, let me ask you this question. Let me frame it this way, because I think this will make sense to a lot of you. So for example, let's say you have $5,000 in your bank account. Are you ever, at that moment, with $5,000 in your bank account, stressed about money and when you're going to pay things and if you're going to have the money? I would highly think that you're not. I would just take a wild guess and say you are definitely not worried about when the money's coming in, if you're going to have enough, if you're going to be able to pay for things, if you can buy extra things, because you have this cash flow in your account. But what's the first thought that comes into our mind when our bank accounts run low, or when we're just having a bill come up, maybe we don't have the cash in our account? What is the first thought that comes to your mind? I know for me, when I lived in Colorado, I lived in an apartment, and I specifically remember having such a financial journey while I was there. It was such a great learning opportunity looking back. And there was months where I'd get myself in such a financial bind where I would be counting literal change from my piggy bank to pay rent because I didn't have enough. And it was this way for many, many months until I finally just didn't want to subscribe to that story anymore. But because I was in that scarcity mindset, I remember in that final week of the month when I knew rent was coming and I knew the money wasn't in my account, I stayed focused on the fact that I didn't have the money and where was the money coming from and how am I going to pay rent? And I was in this scarcity mindset, therefore attracting more scarcity. Let me repeat that. I was in this feeling of scarcity, constantly affirming to myself and thinking, I don't have the money. Where's the money coming from? I'm not going to be able to pay this bill. Therefore, my attention was on the fact that I had no money. Therefore, per the law of attraction, the only thing that I can attract is more lack, is more scarcity, is more reasons to tell me that I don't have the money. So, this is super important information to know. Because when we feel ourselves shifting into that energy of scarcity, when we're thinking those thoughts that make us feel scared about money, that make us feel scarce about money, that is where we're able to take our newfound awareness and say, oh, I used to think that way. But now I know the money's always coming. It's always there for me. It might not be in my account now, but it's coming. And I don't know how, but I know it's going to find a way to me. And you open up opportunities for yourself. Something I used to do a lot, and not just with money, really with relationships, with health, with my business, I used to get really clingy to my way. I want it done my way. And if it doesn't happen my way, it doesn't happen at all. The problem with that is that I was so focused on doing it my way and that I knew the how and I knew how I was going to get there, that I was not allowing myself to take the step back and to see the abundance of opportunities and possibilities that were already in front of me because I was so narrowed in on my way, which is not always the best way, my friends. We think that we know everything. We don't. So the biggest lessons I've learned when it comes to manifestation, when it comes to law of attraction, is that you need to get into that feeling, to dream big, to hold those feelings, and then release and let go of how it happens. And that is where a lot of people throw up their walls and they have resistance and they are like, I can't do that. I can't release control. I need to be in control all the time. But a beautiful thing happens when you're able to let go and just allow the universe or God or whatever you believe in to bring you opportunities. I've had it happen so many times in my life that it still knocks me off my feet. There was a time just a month ago where I was considering other job opportunities. And I remember thinking, I really want this one job opportunity. I really think this is going to be the right one for me. And then I had a moment where I said, that would be really great, but I also want to be really open to other opportunities that might be out there in order to help me grow in ways that maybe I don't even recognize yet. And I was just settled on that feeling. I was like, we're just going to see how things are going. And I just let go of the resistance. I could feel myself kind of grasping it and wanting to force it. And I recognized that in myself. I could feel the feelings in my body, the tightness, the impulse thoughts of I need to do this now or I'm never going to happen. Those kinds of thoughts were bringing me into scarcity. And I was able to recognize that and take a step back and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. I know what I want, but I also want to be open to other avenues that I haven't yet explored yet. And I just ended on that. A few days later, after I had these thoughts and I was journaling about it, I had a totally different job opportunity out of left field come into my direction. And I remember after that moment thinking, wow, if I wouldn't have let go of how this was going to happen for me, how I was going to be able to make more money for myself and use my strengths better, I wouldn't have had this opportunity. Or I might have had it and not been able to even give it a second thought because I was so focused on another thing. And I've done that with career stuff before too, thinking that this is the way, this is the only way. And I was in scarcity, thinking that I was the only person who can figure this out. So that's really a big misconception with the law of attraction, because we think that if we just think, oh, I'm going to get the white Mercedes, it's going to be great, and I'm going to focus on it, and I'm going to manifest all this money into my life, and I'm going to be rich. And then we allow those feelings of scarcity and to grasp onto us when we don't have the money in our bank account, and when we look at the debt and we're affirming to ourselves, I'm never going to be able to pay this debt off. I can't believe I've done this with my finances. Why can't I get it together? All these negative feeling thoughts, right? They feel really heavy and draining. When we allow those feelings to take over, the only thing law of attraction can do by force of the universal law is bring us more of what we are focusing on. So if you choose to focus on the fact that you have no money right now, guess what? You're going to continue to have no money. If you keep focusing on your debt, you're going to continue to have more debt. So what would happen if you just shifted into at least a neutral spot? Remember in the last episode where we talked about bridge thoughts, I brought up this concept that if you are on one end of the spectrum where maybe you're feeling negative about money and you want to feel positive and abundant about money, but we can't yet believe that, then we find a mid-ground. We find a mid-ground so that we can start to believe ourselves to that place. And that really starts to help us work towards that spot. There is a quote that I'm going to read you from this book that I thought was really helpful talking about manifestation. It's from the book Dollars Flow to Me Easily by Richard Dodds. Really great, easy book. I think I read it in a day. I think it's 100 pages. It's very short. And he mentions manifestations are not about trying to make something happen on the outside. You are not trying to attract money, in quotes, or anything good into your life as if you were a magnet. Instead, you are opening up your eyes to the abundance and the natural flow that is already there for your picking. That last part is so powerful. When we're able to take that step back and to recognize that abundance is all around us, that energy, that vibration, because remember, money is only a vibration, and money can only be attracted to that same vibration. So if we are constantly at this low vibe, I have no money, I'm poor as crap, and, broke AF, we always say that jokingly, but it just attracts more of that. If we're constantly in that low vibe space, how in the world are we going to be a match for the type of abundance we want to create that's way up here? We have to first elevate our feelings and our thoughts to match that so that money can be a physical reality for us. Think about the iPhone. The iPhone, which most of you are probably listening to this on, or a Samsung. My boyfriend's totally into the Samsung world now. It started as a thought. It was a concept in somebody's brain. This device that you now do everything on, and you're listening to this podcast episode on, was once just a thought and a concept in somebody's brain. And they were able to take that concept and bring it into reality and make it this physical object that now most of the population has. But that physical reality couldn't have been possible without the thought and concept that started in somebody's brain, without raising the vibrational frequency to create this physical reality to where now everyone owns a smartphone. The same works for your relationship with money. You have to be able to first believe everything, get your vibration up there, move your energy to this place of abundance, and then, only then, will your reality start to slowly match up, or maybe even quickly. In this book, Dollars Flow to Me Easily, he talks about his experience of how difficult he was making it in the simple shifts he did in order to help make this process go a lot easier. So this is another piece where we get to really focus in on our feelings. There's another quote from, this is actually a great book, and I'm going to actually reread it because it's so good. It's called Money and the Law of Attraction, Learning to Attract Wealth, Health, and Happiness by Esther and Jerry Hicks, Teachings of Abraham. Great read as well. I'll link all of those in the bio for you all so you can check them out. But this quote says, but you are never in position where you are a kid, where you can kid yourself into feeling better about something, because the way you feel is the way you feel, and the way you feel is always the result of a thought that you have chosen. Notice how at the end of that quote, they say a thought that you have chosen, because you always get to choose the thoughts that you think, thus creating the feelings that you're feeling in your life. I think many of us think, well, the feeling just came about me. It just happened. I couldn't control it. And oftentimes we're thinking so fast, and because we've thought a similar thing for so long and it's become a belief, it's almost like an unconscious reaction that we have. But now, since we can open ourselves up to this possibility, we can really hammer down onto what are those feelings bubbling up inside of me? Like the last episode where we talked about transforming your money legacy and adding that 0 at the end of as much money you've ever been paid before, and the feelings that started to bubble up inside of you. Having that is so great. Even if it's a negative emotion, you need to understand that negative emotions and positive emotions are both important in understanding your just existence. Really, the emotions that we experience in life are half negative and half positive. It's just we need to be able to shift ourselves into that positive space so that we can create positive results in our life. So it's so important to remember that when we're looking to manifest more money into our lives, to generate more wealth, to improve our relationship with money, is that we can make this process really easy. Getting more money into our lives, paying off debt, making this financial future for ourselves that we desire, all those big dreams that I had you dream about, they're all possible for you. If you just take a step back, release the how, and recognize all of the abundance that is already currently yours that you're not recognizing. And as soon as you start recognizing that and staying in that feeling of abundance and joy and excitement and freedom and whatever money and having lots of money brings you, staying in that feeling is going to help you move towards that financial future that you are setting out to achieve. I hope that you received a lot of value from this episode. I hope you received a lot of value from this entire Money Mindset March series. I really enjoyed doing it because money is a tool that really helps us to be able to do a lot of things in the world, to be able to create a lot of opportunities to better our lives and to help better the lives of others. And I think it's an amazing thing. And I'm so grateful to have learned all this information myself about money and applying it to my life, but to also share these teachings with you so that hopefully you can take away even just a nugget of information and apply it to your life and see positive results. Thank you again so much for listening. I'll see you next week on the podcast. We'll have new content coming at you. And I would love to hear what you've been loving so far by leaving a review on iTunes or Google Play or Spotify, wherever you might be listening to this podcast. I truly do appreciate all of your comments and messages and emails. I truly just love it. And I want to learn more about you guys, what you've been loving, so I can create more content like that, bring more guests in to help educate you and bring more amazing conversations to you to explore more about your life and become the best version of you. All right, everyone, take care. I love you. Mwah. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Mind and Body Strong podcast. You are what makes this movement and message possible. If you loved this episode, share it with a friend, a coworker, a family member, or take a screenshot and share it on your favorite social media platform and tag Mind and Body Strong. To learn more about coaching and courses to help you take your journey to the next level, visit mindandbodystrong.com.